This is Purple Charger, and I just wanted to get a little video response on Bumper Tapper's video about Operation Garden Plot and Urban Warrior that I watched. What I'm talking about this video, which I believe completely ignores a lot of information about Operation Garden Plot and what Urban Warrior and what they are designed to do, and what he thinks or what he perceives his rights under the Constitution are. As he talks about Operation Garden Plot, he goes on and talks about how it is used to put down patriotic Americans. Now, me from a personal stance, I don't believe that tax protesters or religious cults or certain militia groups like the ones that are down in the deep south who believe that killing black people is a good thing, or as they like to call them, niggers. But I'm not that kind of a person. You know, I don't think they quite have the patriotic motives that you seem to think they do. And how you go on and you talk about civil disorder and some of those issues, and how the military is just going to start shooting up people. But as you read along the document, you clearly can see what this is about, and even parts that you read or that you decidedly skip over because they're not convenient enough for you to read, and that this is designed to be for dealing with keeping the peace and not suppressing the liberties of our country. I mean, you can clearly read this thing. You can clearly read the document, and even the parts that you did read under Section 3, where it talks about such factionalism could manifest itself through represented demonstrations, protest marches, and other forms of legitimate opposition, but which would have a potential for erupting into spontaneous violence with little or no warning. And also a section under Section 3, Part 2. This may occur either because leaders of the protest organizations intentionally induce their followers to perpetrate violent acts, or because a group of militants infiltrates an otherwise peaceful protest and seeks to divert it from its peaceful course. Basically, what this is for when there is violent protest. This isn't about free speech rights, which I'm going to get to here in a sec. You apparently don't care about, but that's okay, because there is no real right to take guns and try and take over or start a new government. There is no protected right. There never has been, and I would assume if a country would want to stay intact, that there never will be. The fact of the matter is that there has never been any right for armed rebellion under the United States Constitution, and that if you do pick up guns and decide to take arms against the United States of America, they will not sit idly by with their thumbs up their ass. They will take a gun and put a bullet in your head. That's how things work, unfortunately, whether you like it or not. And they are even required to by law. In the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Congress shall have the power to provide for calling forth the militia to execute laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. So, there we are, already in the first article of the Constitution, discussing the powers of the Congress, and they already said, if there is a rebellion, you have the right to take your gun and start doing by whatever means necessary to suppress it. Also, Article 2, Section 3, which lists the job of the President, says that the President shall take care that the law is faithfully executed. And I believe treason is under the law as being kind of illegal. Just a thought, you know, just so we're on the same page. In fact, a president can be arrested and removed from office based on treason. So, I mean, even in the Bill of Rights, we go to the First Amendment. Congress shall make no laws representing the establishment of religion, or the prohibiting of free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of press, or the right of people to peacefully assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. Notice it doesn't say anything. It doesn't say anything in there about you have the right to go willy-nilly around shooting and rebelling against the government. There's no such right. And if you think that there's I don't know what to say to you. There's nothing much else that can be said for you. So basically, if you want to rebel, and you feel that you're being abused, you can do that. But if you think that the government can do nothing to stop you, then you're sadly mistaken. Even the founding fathers knew that, and they did not exclude the fact that the state has the right to stop your revolution in the Constitution. I also found it funny that you talked about a constitutional convention to redraw up the Constitution, and you talked about the underlying groups working to change our Constitution. And if you really look back at history, the very Constitution that we have, that's what happened. We already had the Articles of Confederation, which gave the states the rights to and was more of a collection of United States, hence the term, but it was a lot more loose. It was more of a confederation, and there was tons of rebellion, and they decided, well, that doesn't work, so we're going to make a more federalist government. Yet you don't seem to have much of a problem with this Constitution. Just saying. I also wanted to touch on Urban Warrior and some of the other topics that kind of brought up as you were discussing this, and what Operation Urban Warrior technically is about, from the information that I've seen. Urban Warrior, as far as I'm concerned, kind of stems from the idea that the best information is gathered through real-life scenarios. You can set and shoot fake little toy guns at a screen that detects what you're shooting at all day, and you can make that as realistic as you want, but nothing's going to change the amount of experience you get with a gun on a range. And that's the whole point of this. You could put actors, sure, you could put it in a concealed area and people can learn like that under these pitiful room settings that you've set in this perfect pristine area that you're never going to get in real life. Or you could do it with real civilians who have okayed the fact that they want to participate in this, and get how they would actually respond in a real life situation if this was to take place, and give the troops who are taking over, as the scenario was, this area, and give them the most realistic response that would happen. What would civilians do? What would you have to do to secure the area? If that incorporated taking away weapons and making secure areas, and what would have to be done. Instead of these trained actors who are scripted as to what they are doing, what times and when they do things, is all played out into this succinct little march of how the commanders want to play it to see what happens. Instead, you get a realistic and spontaneous action as to what happens that is a lot more like real life, instead of a very scripted. That's why they didn't have actors. It wasn't about scripting it. It was about getting a real life and a spontaneous how civilians would act if this situation was presented in front of them. And that is why Urban Warrior was conducted in such a manner. So that's the end of the video, and thank you for watching.